Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
Just to remind everybody that language usage and content that we provide here may be disturbing, disgusting, probably will be and should be. Words like bloody custard and words that rhyme with that may be featured. Actually will be featured. In fact, perhaps will only be featured. Just warning you.
You're listening to Cyrus Says.
All right, let's talk to Samyak here on the podcast. Who is Samyak? Well, he's half Bengali, half Gujarati, and both halves will talk to us at the same time. It'll be garbled, it'll be difficult, but we'll understand that he's got a social connect with society, and he's going to pay back society one child at a time.
Cyrus says we have other shows too. You should check them out.
Hi, I'm Amit Gulbaksani.
I'm Purva Mehra.
And I'm Pranoti Datta. And we're from a city website called The Daily Pow. And we have a new podcast called The Powcast. So you can listen to us on the Indus Vox SoundCloud page as well as iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn.
You're listening to Cyrus Says.
Welcome to Cyrus Says, and we begin with this painful reminder that I am now over 40, and I'll tell you why. The other day I was in the dressing room of a club and I was witnessing people over 50, and I noticed there's a difference between 40 and 50. You know, you're over 50 when somebody actually does things like this. You take a powder and you empty it inside your underwear so that you create a powder bed to protect your leakage, which will happen later. This is a clear sign of entering 50. So if you're 40, that's what's coming next. It's called Cyrus Says. So much to look forward to.
And that's what Cyrus says.
Okay, it's called Cyrus Says. It's a sunny day outside in Japan. Here it's always the same. We are like a poor man's Delhi. It's really bad. And Delhi, of course, has its own critics. Who am I to point fingers? But I'm with Samyak. Samyak, your full name is Samyak?
Chakrabarty.
Chakrabarty. But then lies a little issue before we go forward. Your Gujarati and Bengali mix, is it?
Yeah.
So is it Samyak?
No, Samyak.
Samyak is the Gujarati side, is it?
Yeah. And
Okay.
Chakrabarty is the Bengali side.
Clearly, thanks. I would have made that. I would have figured that out. Thank you so much for guiding me, holding my hand and taking me through the secular fabric of our lovely country. But love sounds a little fanatical, but I do like, and I'm very interested in people when they come from mixed marriages or mixed communities, because I think that's the safety net for our country. In fact, right now I say stop listening to the podcast, go out there, mate with someone from another community, have children. It's the best way to keep this country together. Because then, the identity is Indian and not... Because how do you explain? You must have the same problem as I do. I'm half Parsi, half Catholic. So, we pray here and we pray there. It's a little difficult. So you have to say Indian. Right?
True. Very
the same
true.
thing with you.
Yeah.
Gujarati and Bengali. And I think it's the only way out. Maybe we should start lying. All right. Now, if I keep talking and you don't talk at all, I'll get fired later. So let's start, Samyak, with your life. You have founded India's first youth marketing and research firm at the age of just under 18, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Haven't you heard of masturbation? What the hell are you doing?
So, when I was in school, actually, I was...
No, that's a contradiction, because school you should have finished before 18.
No. When I was in school, I used to attend model events.
Okay, correcting me.
So, model events are,
Can I make a bad joke?
Of course.
When you were in school, you should be looking at other kind of models. Model UN? I do. I'm a bit of a nerd myself. I have taken part in a model UN.
So, when I used to go and, raise money to organize those, all these brands would ask me, how do your friends consume this? Why do you buy this product versus
Oh,
that?
you were
How
the
do you
survey
choose?
guy.
No, so I realized that I could make money by selling information about my peer group.
Okay.
Because everybody used to ask me questions about, why you choose this versus that and what would you do on Orkut that time.
So in an instance here, Orkut, what happened to Orkut? Now that you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Let's have a minute's silence, ladies and gentlemen. Orkut.
Orkut.
At one point, I remember, now that you bring it up, I remember this lady called Hina, who was a friend of mine. She was only Orkut all the time. Where is Orkut now?
Mark Zuckerberg ate it up.
Orkut ko kya ho gaya? This is our question for the day.
Yeah.
If you're an Arnab Goswami fan, make sure he takes up this topic. Why has Orkut disappeared from our universe? The pain. No, coming back. So, if you were insincere about this, you just got this straight idea that I'll provide information, they'll pay me.
Yeah. So while I used to, go and talk to them about money for the conferences we used to do, these questions used to come up. So my dad was in the business of, marketing, advertising, as I told you before this. So I was always I knew what the field is all about. So I said, hey, why don't I make money? So I started a company which was electronic youth media. The idea was to give information about how youth consumes and of course more scientific.
One second, again, you are 16, 17. How old are you now?
Now I'm 26.
Bro, at that point, how old were you, brother?
At that point, when I got the idea, I was about 17. And at the 18 you can register a company. So
right.
I had to wait till then.
Right. Okay. So the age of 17, you've come up with this idea. By 18, is a full-fledged company.
Yeah.
And take us further. What happens next?
So, of course, there are lots of learnings. As a young person, not taken very seriously. And in the business of advertising, I think everybody thinks there's some form of guru.
Isn't that the beautiful thing about advertising?
Not really.
I love that. Everybody thinks they're really smart the moment they enter it.
Yeah, but then when they start talking, you realize that.
I've got a theory that if you're in advertising to survive a conversation, a cocktail advertising circuit, you should know 10% of everything and nothing more.
Yeah.
But everything. So you should be able to talk a little bit about, say, aviation, or a little bit about, how peanuts are made, or a little bit about women's bras and panties. That, of course, I do have more than 10% knowledge, and that is purely because I'm a student of this.
Of course.
As you are, I can tell from your lovely smile. Sexist moment, we'll avoid it. But what do you think of that logic? 10% knowledge and nothing more?
I
Nothing
agree.
deep?
Completely. Nothing deep. All shallow level. And, when we proceed further, I'm doing a lot of work with the space outside advertising. I come to realize that advertising is nothing. It's just you're just an intermediary between X and Y.
It's a pretend business.
Exactly.
Let's not lie anymore.
Yeah.
I know your father was a hot shot and all that, but with all due respect.
Don't know. So I started and I learned a lot. I realized that there's no value for knowledge really. It's just about how do you make something cool. And how do you get 1 million likes on Orkut that time and now Facebook?
Don't mention Orkut again. People are crying. People shut the podcast and they're Googling. Orkut kya hai? Nobody knows.
Yeah, of course. The generation behind us wouldn't know Orkut.
Generation behind is last weekend, by the way. I'm very clear now. Okay, now let's skip up a little bit. Recently you acquired by DDB Mudra Group, no less.
Yeah.
And you collaborated with organizations like TED, UN, World Bank. You'll bring us up to speed on that.
Yeah.
But right now, so you've been bought over by the Mudra Group, is it?
Yeah, not right now. It was about 12 months ago that I got completely acquired.
So are you still actively with the youth marketing thing?
No. So I'm good riddance with advertising.
Okay, so you're done with that.
I'm done with that.
Okay, so let's talk about the collaboration before we move on. So you had collaborations. Look at these big names that we've got here. TED, United Nations, World Bank, US. Firstly, TED is not a doggy in Malabar Hill, although there is one. It's a totally different experience. So take us through that.
So while I was this whole youth research and marketing was happening, I had always this interest of creating some form of awareness and social impact amongst my generation, because I really felt that I think my generation, so I'm 1988 born.
What do you mean by social impact? I can't understand how an 18-year-old would think like that. At 18, the only social impact I was thinking of is whether I can get close to a woman with less hair on her legs than me.
There's no reason or trigger. I think my friend outside, we all together used to think about what should we do. Who's your next guest, Anwar?
See, Samyak, you're blushing when I mentioned girls with less hair than us. But at the same time, you did this whole thing. I'm just trying to understand the mindset of a typical boy of that age.
No, what happens is that at that point, very seriously speaking, not about just Orkut, but at that time, slowly all this was coming in. It was being introduced. Social networking, new media, communication, and this whole rampant consumerism was just about to begin.
Correct.
And I think that time, a lot of us got consumed in that race, but a few of us were questioning. And it's not because I was a very average student.
So you are unhappy with this slightly capitalist way of life?
Yeah, because I would see my peers and they would just...
This is the Bengali in Samyak. Huh? You're destroying the Gujarati side. Down. Sorry, my Bengali is not good, so I can't do the other side.
I can't speak Bengali as well, actually.
Oh, excellent. Not excellent in that way.
I've never been to Calcutta except for work.
Yeah, that's fine. Most Calcuttans don't want to go back. Don't worry.
So I felt that we need to take a step back and do something for ourselves. It's actually for me more than for anybody else, where we need to have, while you have all this information about consumption, products, brand, there has to be something about interesting ideas that are being explored in the world. So I learnt about TED. Somebody told me about TED, and it was a very superficial knowledge that I had, I admit. And I heard about TEDx, that you can have your own TEDx event. So I said, hey, I've been doing model events, which then I realized also are pointless. You have these fancy cathedral kids and Ambani kids talking about hunger in,
And then the driver drops him to the next place. And they scream at their mother for sending him 5 minutes late.
Yes.
And
so
because
I'm
he's smelling.
And I in Model UN, since you know about them, usually you have kids from elite schools. I was from Jasud Bain ML in Khar, just 2 minutes away from here.
Right.
So I found myself to be a misfit. And I realized that these guys are not really, they're talking about it.
You open a whole new world now.
Yeah.
The class structure of education in Mumbai alone, forget India.
No, but these are the things that actually motivated me to do what I'm doing today.
So why the kids didn't get along? The richer school kids and the middle class school kids?
Not richer, poor. See, that wasn't the problem.
The chop that they have.
Yeah, the chop. See, we also come from good families, but we don't wear our bank balance.
Although, what is a good family? I've seen my father naked, for example, and I don't know if that, whether I want to say we're a good family.
No,
we all have skinny calves, for example.
No, I would define it as, values, like the standard definition.
No, but there is a paradox which is hilarious. It's similar to those NGO women that we have in Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, who don't work much, but they're part of these NGOs, and the NGOs will save the girl child, and then they go home and the girl child is serving them chai. It's like that.
So in the next part of what you're going to ask me, I'm going to address that bit as to why I changed from advertising to social impact. This is exactly this.
Well, there seems to be a Gandhian side to you. You're a 17, 18-year-old boy who's getting a little motivated. No, nicely. It's a nice thing. With a social conscience developed, which perhaps most people at 18 don't have. Let's be honest, we're looking back at our own lives now. I'm going back before Orkut. When I was 18, years and years ago, when the piranha was part of India's flora and fauna.
Yeah.
But it is amazing that at 18 you were already thinking ahead like this and trying to see what you could do. But let's just finish with the UN World Bank, and I just want to touch up a little bit on that.
So I'll give you a story about the UN actually.
Yeah.
That's what the life-changing moment for me was.
Excellent.
So as I spoke about this, model UNs and how I realized they were actually pointless, I had this random instinct to write to Shashi Tharoor when he was under Secgen at the UN.
Right.
I read about him, an Indian fellow at the UN. I think
he made lots of waves. Let's be honest.
He keeps making waves in whatever he does.
These are different times for him, perhaps rightly or wrongly. But then definitely he was somebody that the Indians could be proud of and relate to. Yeah.
Maybe 2 years ago.
Yes. I'm looking at just before September 11th, when he was at the peak of his career as a diplomat. Yeah.
So I wrote to him with no reference, and tharoor@un.org was his email ID.
Thanks for sharing it. Now
he doesn't use that email ID. He doesn't use the email ID. So I wrote to him saying, I'm this so-and-so 18-year-old from Bombay, and I've been doing model UNs, but I want to do something with the real UN. That was my email. I still read it sometimes when I look back. And that time the Millennium Development Goals were being spoken about. Indians didn't know what MDGs were. Even I didn't know what MDGs were.
I don't know what it is now.
No. So it was like the UN had set out 10 goals in the space of hunger, maternal health, HIV, so on and so forth. They wanted to solve that crisis. So there was a lot of talk about it online, but very little in India. So I said I want to do something with MDGs and the UN. To my surprise, he wrote back and he connected me to the India office of the UN. And that was really the turning point in my life, because then I actually flew down to New York to meet somebody else who working in the space of MDGs with my own money that I had saved. And also
so you paid for your own ticket to go?
Yeah. Since 16, no money from home.
Wow.
And
I have the same problem. My dad says there's no money at home. It's a different thing. Huh?
No, so in my case, I just didn't take any money from home.
Right.
There's no reason other than, then there's no other test to your own...
Plus, as an Indian, you have an aunt or uncle in New Jersey, so what's the big deal?
No. I stayed in a very cheap motel outside of New York.
A hotel motel? A cousin, perhaps?
Not really. So we stayed there. We went to the UN. I met some people, not Dr. Tharoor, but somebody else in the MDG effort. Then I brought that with the Indian office. I was working with them as well, and we did a very big UN Young Changemakers conclave, which is on till date. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, there was one at the naval area, which was hosted by me. So the idea was to get the UN closer to young Indians, and young Indians to know more about the UN than what you learn.
I mean, young Indians don't mean the elite schools alone, but everybody.
Everyone. So this UN conclave that I do is very fancy. It's as fancy as the India Today conclave or the HT Summit, because I attended those as well, and I realized, wow, what if this experience was taken to young people who could actually make a difference with it? I mean, we just spoke about some people from Delhi, the usuals who sit at the HT Summit in India Today conclave. They're not going to make a difference.
You don't want to be invited to all these places now. Model UN cancelled, HT Summit cancelled.
I don't go now.
India Today cancelled.
Because the people sitting there, when you have...
They pontificate, but nothing happens.
Yeah, nothing happens, because you have the who's speaking, good people speaking, They brought down the guy, they brought down Mark Zuckerberg's the other guy, I forget the name, who started it with him,
Let's just call him the other guy.
The other guy.
Because he's not that famous. It's not our fault. So don't blame our brains for that. When we had Orkut, I could have found him.
So people like them were there and they would speak about social networking, use of media for change, so on and so forth. But what would the guys sitting in the Delhi power circuit do with it? So I said, why don't I bring a similar experience to young Indians? So I collaborated with the UN. MDGs was the first theme. Every year we have different themes.
Right.
We've got speakers like the former Prime Minister. We had the Railway Minister right now. So on and so forth. So we got such people, to common young Indians who could absorb some experiences.
But how do you get these ministers and bureaucrats to react to you?
What do you mean?
How do you get them to come attend all these functions?
I send letters and I follow up with their office. It's very simple.
I send letters, nobody writes back to me. If I wrote to Shashi Tharoor, he would never write back to me.
Depends, I don't know. I honestly, that's the...
So are you just a lucky guy? Are you a powerful person or are you very influential?
I have no power, no influence.
Do you actually run the country because nobody knows who does?
No. I think that if you write and if you pursue it and you have perseverance, it happens. To whoever, like we...
Sorry to go back, but did Shashi Tharoor himself write back? Was it like a personal letter?
It was. And
was it the office of Shashi Tharoor?
No, I'm still in touch with him. And once he spoke at my event, he said, I remember this young boy who wrote to me and I wrote back to him. That was the start.
Wow.
Yeah,
not bad.
Yeah. So that was really when I wrote to him and, he replied back, and that gave me confidence that you can do anything.
Does Shashi Tharoor have a younger brother called Rishi Tharoor? No, that's Kapoor. Sorry, that's Kapoor. God, I should pay attention. I'm sorry to cut away from the seriousness of our affairs.
No.
So now World Bank, US. What is US public affairs? What does that mean?
The US government, and I know a joke could come after
Bill Clinton and the let's not even try. Let's not manufacture that. Let's
so the US government in different countries, they have a public affairs division where they want to support cultural and social initiatives in the country that they're in.
Right.
So I again wrote to the US. There were times with a guy called Michael Owen, not the football player but the American Consul General Michael Owen. I wrote to him saying, I worked with the UN, I did a TEDx, now I want to do something with you guys. So that's how it started. So and now we do a lot of work with their new space in Bandakula complex. So the idea is we take
basically the whole place is there.
The whole place.
I've seen the size of that
it's
space.
Amazing. Yeah. So I worked with them and they sort of helped me with my various projects. For example, I used to do the first part of my life was all about conferences and gatherings. No actual work on ground because I was still learning and learning the ropes. So they helped me do a mock WTO, World Trade Organization. So I said mock UN ho gaya. Mock Lok Sabha also I did, and now I heard about the WTO. There's something called the WTO. So I said, why don't we dress up like business representatives of different countries and talk about trade issues? And the US government obviously supported that.
What about a mock marriage? That's not happened so far.
I don't think anybody should get into any form of marriage.
Oh wow, this is an interesting conversation. Let's leave aside your great social work and talk about the social change you want. Why anti-marriage?
I think that it's very difficult for you to share half of yourself with somebody else.
And which half? Because you may want to give upper half, they may want lower half. I mean, who draws the line on that?
No, so I think that nowadays when I look at my friends getting married and 2 years down the line, what's happening to them in their lives, it's not like it's bad or there are fights, but you suddenly lose a bit of yourself. I'm not sure if I want to do that.
But what about my theory, which is that marriage should be like the Olympics or a presidential term? You have 4 years, then you vote again.
I agree.
I think that's fair. And both parties vote very clinically.
Yeah.
You don't get upset and all that.
I'm totally for such a
Supposing
practice.
So the wife says, okay, I'm okay, I want to go for 4 more years. You say, sorry, been there, done that, not happening. And then that's it. There's no anger, no thing, whatever.
Agreed.
Yeah. But then if you have kids, how does that work?
That's the problem.
Yeah, because
that's when Olympics become Commonwealth
feeding
games.
Indian children is not a joke. The way they eat, it's not funny.
Of course.
Honestly, I've given mine to the neighbors who've passed them on to the 5th floor guy.
And you're Parsi kids, so I can imagine.
Well, they're really mixed. Don't ask. I just explained. They're like 1/4 one. They're Indian as of now.
They're Indian.
Yeah. Although one wants to be Australian, and looking at the way we're hammering they are hammering India. Yeah. Should be the right decision. Okay. I think it's time for us to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk some more. Lots more to talk about. But very quickly, summing up what's happening, Samyak, you've started India's first, by the way, youth marketing and research firm. Well before people were thinking of that as a proper entity. Now, of course, everybody needs that wing. The youth is the future, blah, blah, blah. You're the pioneer. Let's not forget that. So that's something to really talk about because today, the way corporate structures are, nobody puts a step forward without youth ka soch kya hai. Am I right?
Very true.
And there's a word that rhymes with youth, which I will not use on the show.
Yeah.
It sums up my feelings on the matter. But I think the youth are stupid.
Not
just
really.
Stupid.
Not really.
No?
Because the youth we see and the youth we talk to on a daily basis
are more like the
so.
rhyme.
Yeah, but then you go down to the real India, you will see these guys are much smarter.
What is real India? We are also real India.
Not
We are
at
just a
all.
little more
No,
plastic.
we
We
are
are
very
plasticky
plastic.
India, but we're still part of real India.
Not really. We are Chinese. We are Chinese Malo.
It's not a homogeneous society. What are you going to say? We go to that area, it's one world. We go to another area, it's a second world.
But I'm saying that the aspiration, the ability to convert aspiration to reality is a lot more in rural, semi-urban than cities like Bombay or Delhi.
Basically, for simple people listening who don't want to think deeply and profoundly, what you're saying is Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore suck. And if you want to really be a happy Indian, be down and downwards.
Of course, less pollution also.
And actually, all the famous people are coming from there now.
Yeah,
whether they are cricketers or actors or politicians, they're all coming from the B towns. So if you live in Mumbai city like I do, you do suck. We'll take a break, then we'll come back. Might as well tell the truth.
Cyrus says, stop picking your nose, listen to this ad.
Now, if you want to listen to some brilliant indie music from all over the country, it's really simple. You can find me on Made in India. That's madeinindia.in. My name is May, and it's spelled M-A-E-D. Now, I've had some great artists on the show, including the likes of Nikhil D'Souza, The Cognac Net, Last Remaining Light, Tejas Menon, The Other People, Alicia Pays, Lakshmi Baum, Vasudha Sharma, Ankur Tiwari, and so many more. Now, if you want to subscribe, you can go to iTunes or Stitcher or your favorite podcast app, or you can find me on my website. That's madeinindia.in. That's M-A-E-D, or on Twitter and Facebook on Made in India.
Back here with Samyak, who's founded India's first youth marketing and research firm. He's also a man who hates the idea of marriage. Have you ever attended a marriage? Because that'll make you a hypocrite.
No.
So you don't go?
No.
If, say, your friend Krishna gets married, you don't go and attend it.
It's a season of marriage. I've not gone to one.
But they invite you.
Of course.
What do you say?
I'm busy.
But that's a lie. Just tell him, I believe you're wasting your time.
I've already told him at his bachelor's party after a couple of drinks.
After a couple of drinks, so he thinks, kya joke mara. Of course.
No, I don't go for marriages. I think it's also a waste of money. If I at all, by mistake, get married, we will put a budget and we will go on a honeymoon with that money, then feed aunties. Sorry.
No, please use.
Then feed aunties who are going to, in any case, criticize the food.
My God, you're a very touchy man, yaar. I had an even better problem at my marriage. This goes back to Orkut days, pre-Orkut, 2002 or 1 was it, where there were 200 people at the marriage or maybe more, and I didn't know them.
Yeah, also.
Which I think only in India, you have so many people coming in.
You don't know who's coming.
One man, I swear my mother, this is a true story. Now, I'm 29 years old, 5 foot 8 inches. One man comes up to me and says, Beta, how you've grown? I'm like, who the hell is this guy? What does he think I am?
Yeah.
I'm 29, I'm getting married, I've grown means what the hell is he talking about? I mean, this Indian marriages is a whole separate world. I don't think any culture can cope with our marriages.
Yes.
And in fact, in any of the Europeans and foreigners, Africans, whoever come here, and you put them through a Punjabi wedding of 10 days, by the 5th day, they want out of the marriage. Can we not be part of your deal?
Literally, it's a deal.
It's a deal. It's a deal. It's a subculture. You can't stop it. Look at the traffic jams we have.
Yeah, because of weddings and...
Our sacred Wankhede ground, gone.
Gone.
The other day, 100 runs made by the Mumbai team to win the Ranji semi-final. And the next day, the Sharmas are getting married. You can't do anything about it. That's it. On the same pitch. And of course, they won't score as much. But man, let's get back to your life, sir. Samyak, now you obviously you're going in all different directions in terms of, but your social conscience is getting stronger and stronger. Operation Black Dot. I such 2014 general elections, and this is the election which people are saying has moved more of India's youth than ever before.
So once a bunch of us friends were sitting at Leopold, in fact, and we were talking about politics. So
where they used to serve beef chili before the band. But why bring that up here?
So a bunch of us were talking over beers about politics, and that time everybody was talking about what's happening in the country, especially as you said, this election is really, it was a watershed election for us.
Yeah.
So somebody, I don't remember who said, Arey, but our kind of people will never come out and vote. So that's when I asked, what do you mean our kind of people?
But they know you. If they make those statements, they know they're going to get pillowed.
So
why would they do that?
So I said, what the F do you mean? We have to vote. You're going to sit and complain. You're going to say,
please don't say what the F do you mean. Just go for it, Baba.
Literally, I said, what the do you mean?
I can't believe you said it on national podcast like that.
On podcast you can. That's the
apparently you can. Yes.
So, anyways, I said, what the I mean, what do you mean our kind of people won't vote? And he said, because these politicians don't do anything for us. So that our kind and us...
This is the cream of society. You have the best life in India, by the way.
Sort of, yeah. So, unless of course you're living on that giant building on Pedder Road, that's another kind of cream and another kind of youth. So anyways, so I said fine. I said why? I rather than just getting into a pointless debate, I said why do you say what you say? And he said that one line that really made I understood what he meant. He said politics isn't cool enough for us. So it is true. Our generation, and especially this socioeconomic class, this lust for cool has sort of been induced in the way we live. So I said, fine. Now I can't change that, but I can probably make politics cool. So the idea came. Operation Black Dot was an initiative to make politics easy, engaging, and fun, so that people like myself and my friends can find it relevant and come out and vote. So what we did was, the first step was, of course, the biggest complaint was that it's very difficult to make a voter's ID, and that's true. I didn't have a voter's ID at that time.
It's a nightmare.
I had to renew it because we used to live in Delhi before. So I had gone, and I know what people mean. It's a nightmare. It's like you're going to do your duty and they're telling you why the hell have you come to do your duty.
And there are 15 steps involved and they don't come back.
Yeah. So I said I agree, that's one big problem. So I again randomly wrote to the Election Commissioner of India.
Samyak, stop saying this. Because every time you write, they write back. Everybody else, I write to Dr. Mahindra what's about sex problem, then I don't get a reply.
So I wrote to the election commissioner that time in Delhi, and he replied back, and he called me he said, why don't you come and meet? So I went to meet with my team. I have a bunch of 4 people who've always worked with me throughout.
Right.
Since we started, they not necessarily be employed with me, but they are partners in everything. So a bunch of us always work together. So we went to the election commission, and he said, fine, I will give you a solution where you can make your voter's ID from your college. So they were working on some tech-based
again,
system.
I want to interrupt you for a second, because here's the real issue. You're able to reach this guy. See, for us, for a normal guy trying to get the voter ID established, that's what I'm saying. That's what I want to understand, the process, how you reach here. You see, when we try to do this, and I have examples from my family members and friends and circles, and everybody in our area or whatever, same society has the same problem trying to get the voter ID card. They can't get through to anyone. You get through to the guy in Delhi who's on top of the whole thing, and he not only bends over for you, but he actually makes the process easy so that you can reach out to students. I can't understand how you do that.
So I honestly, truth be told, as I said, I come from a very non-connected background, family background. So I'm not a lucky sperm.
You are never going to come on the podcast again. You say all the wrong things. Anti-marriage, I'm not a lucky sperm. You're just lucky you were born.
So anyway, so I think it's what you write, and you have to, I think the trick is the secretaries of these people. It's the way you talk to them and what you say. That's what my learning is. So anyways, I went up to this guy in the election commission. He said, fine, I'm again connecting to the Bombay guys. I'm writing to them and they will give you the necessary support. So there's an office in the Mantralaya of the election commission.
Which is open.
No, it took me 1 hour to reach there because we have this pass system and that. Anyways, so we went through all that, and then they gave us this solution where we can create a mobile app, and that is linked to their database. And to the colleges, the students don't have to go to the election commission.
Correct.
They give us the papers. We go and submit. So we are authorized, and everything else happens online.
Wow.
So as a result of that, we got a massive response from students, because parallel to that, we were doing a lot of killer communication. So I got, I think, one of your friends, Jose, to do
of course, Jose has been in college 9 years.
Small video for us.
3-year course. The boy took his time.
So they did Purab Kohli did some communication for us. So we got these influencers.
Should have passed out. He's my generation. Yeah.
So we got a lot of these influencers to do some small fun communication for us about the reason, about why should you go out and vote.
And traditionally, again interrupting, but traditionally our Mumbai, Delhi, well not Delhi so much, but Mumbai definitely a very anti-political participation.
Yeah, very true, especially the younger generation.
So these using these ambassadors all must have made a point.
Huge difference.
Otherwise it would be turn your back. I'm not interested in politics.
Yeah, and then we went all out on Twitter. We got celebrity influencers to retweet.
I wish you had Sunny Leone. You'd have got 8 million. She's much better than Jose. I love Jose, but he's just not got what Sunny's got in terms of personality. But now that I've distracted you with Sunny, I realize you're a fully real red-blooded Indian male. After all this big talk about Shadi Wadi, you just not found the right girl.
Not really.
Don't worry, beta. We will find a girl and only aunties will come and they will discuss the food. I'll make it your nightmare. It's my personal job. Sorry, I'm interrupting you again. So you got it online, basically, in a nutshell.
And then parallel to that, there was a lot of fun communication about why to vote. Then we also did... So I also realized the second problem was that our generation didn't know anything about why to vote. So this conversation at Leopold, he made some valid points. He's like, one, why should we go out and vote? Secondly, on what basis do we vote and who do we vote for? So who do we vote for was easy. There's enough information on the candidates. But what issues do we vote for? For example, your member of parliament cannot solve your water or road crisis.
Right.
So if you go and vote for that, you're not going to get that solved. It's your corporator who does that.
Of course.
So, but most people, including myself, didn't know that until you actually go there and research. So we broke down this information and other kinds of information in a very fun, catchy way, put it all out there. in the press, in social media, did some stuff on TV as well. So I think that really worked, and after that we did something called the Harley Davidson Ride to Vote. So on the eve of the election, I got a bunch of, I think, 50 plus Harley riders to ride across Bombay and tell the people to come out and vote. We did something called Party to Vote.
So you did the same thing as they do in North India. You promised a Harley Davidson to somebody if they vote for such and such a party.
Really.
So somewhere that was the misinformation that was garnered by people. Vote de do, drum, drum, drum.
So we did a Harley Ride to Vote, and then I think the fun thing was that we did Party to Vote. So your black dot could get you into a party we threw at all Hard Rock cafes in Bombay on the next day of the election.
How do you authenticate the black dot? I got to put another black dot.
You have to have voter's ID, no? You have to be a part of the black dot
So you have to carry a voter's ID when you go drinking.
Yeah.
My God, this country is changing in front of my eyes. I miss Orchid so badly.
So that's how that was Operation Black Dot. The whole idea was in a summary.
I want to quickly mention here that you were recently named as India's most influential young CEO in the advertising and marketing industry, and probably a lot to do with this whole social initiatives that you've also started in terms of getting the youth to have a conscience.
Influential CEO in advertising means nothing. I didn't call.
Stop being like that, yeah. Baba, this is India. You have to take your award with grace.
No, I would like to.
One day they'll give you the Padma Bhushan. You can't say, I'll take Padma, take back the Bhushan. It doesn't work like that. You have to accept it with grace.
No, I'm just saying that, all these things also, they make a huge difference on the mindset of our generation. See, this is, of course, an award, great. But I'm saying stuff like this, these adjectives or these definitions, they really box us, and we start believing that we are boxed into that.
My God, I'm getting a very Marxist side of yours rearing its head, and I'm getting a little scared.
Not at all.
Okay, now we'll come to social quotient in a second. Just a last word on this. Operation Black Dot, I think people will recall it. It got a lot of headlines all over, or not just English and Marathi press, but beyond India, Maharashtra. 40,000 plus students cast their vote. Is that a correct figure?
Yeah, but see, when we say 40,000, to be very honest, it's not 40,000 only because they made voter IDs through us. So there are a lot who already had voters ID because their parents have made it. So it's also whoever made it, or sometimes you just have a voters ID. Many people have.
But you started a movement, and
40,000 the total community reach. So it's not.
Would you say between 2014 and 2019, there's a good chance that there'll be a huge voter influx from the youth, which wasn't there from our cities, certain cities who turn their back on politics.
Yes, because today we've realized that the guy who's sitting in Delhi makes a huge difference to a guy sitting in Bombay as well.
So I think we'll change the name from Samyak to Samyukta Maharashtra, because you have become the driving force of us.
Forever I wanted to join politics, but as I inched closer to people in politics, I realized that this is not my
Listen, Mr. Kejriwal said the same thing. Those are same shabd, and then suddenly he turned around and he's now chief minister.
It depends on why you want to join politics.
So why do you want to join politics?
I know at the cost of most people saying I say bold, right? But I genuinely feel it's my calling to make a difference. And
you got the marks. And if you look at what all you've done, you've got it.
Theoretically, in a democracy, politics is the best way to make a difference. But then when you get into it, you realize that there's so many layers, there's so many different people that you have to deal with, that I don't want to become a publicity agent for some other party chief.
My worry is that if you become a politician and you become a cabinet minister, or God forbid, prime minister, first thing you'll remove is weddings. I'm worried about that.
I'll put a tax on weddings.
You definitely put a huge tax.
Huge tax on
weddings. Like a jizya for weddings. It'll be terrible.
It's a waste of money, Cyrus. You've also been to weddings.
And do you realize how it percolates through our classes? So you have a super rich man having a wedding at Wankhede Stadium and 5 countries being involved, or destination wedding Mauritius mein. But what about the poor man who works, who drives your car? He also goes beyond the pale. He borrows money.
Driver has to.
He has a local comedian in his village in Jharkhand who will come and you have to pay him. He has a local model, Miss Jamshedpur, only that eastern part. But the point is that it's very sad. It's a bit like terrorist activity.
And also, it's not just the money. There's so many things involved in a wedding, which I think the sanctity is lost.
I think if you're going to have a wedding, you should allow us to watch the honeymoon couple.
I agree. It should be a reality show.
And the Suhag Raj should be like, okay, guys, you've got good presents, you've given us good stuff. Here's our performance.
But you know what I think? That Suhag Raj is the worst concept, because Indian weddings are so tiring. By the time you get to the bed, you're not going to do anything.
Too much dandiya at the wedding. Too little once the...
Suhag Raj are the most boring things in Indian weddings.
You're right, to be absolutely honest, I swear by God, my wedding, we packed up at 1:32 and I had to find parking in Malbahil for my car, which I couldn't for another half an hour. And then when my wife was fast asleep, and that was symbolic of the entire relationship. I came up fast asleep, I watched some MASH on television or something.
I think that's TMI, what they say, no? Too much information.
Too much information. I could give you pictures. Alright, let's move on. The Green Batti Project.
Yeah. So after I sold out to DDB Mudra I was good riddance with advertising. I had adopted I still have it, a school in Dharavi. So,
Okay.
and I would love for you to come there once.
So what does it mean? But green means what? To go ahead.
Yeah, that's the
Symbolic.
idea. So I'll give you context of Green Batti, and that's how the social enterprise journey for me begins now. So I adopted a school in Dharavi. It was really funny. So the Maharashtra government does not fund Marathi medium primary schools.
What are you saying?
For what logic, I don't know.
How come?
I don't know. So they say that they fund Marathi medium primary, secondary English and so on and so forth, but Marathi...
So they actually look down on Marathi medium.
So their logic, from what I
education.
understand, and my understanding is not complete, because my intent was to save the school and not get into why and what, because there's no faida in that.
Right.
But apparently they say that because your education later on is in English, you should have a base in English. That's what one Babu in the BMC education office told me.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
This is a paradox towards what the political parties say about Marathi manas and
this is the time when I wrote to people, they never responded.
Did you write in Marathi?
No, I wrote in English.
There you go. There you go, beta.
So I heard about the school through and through someone, Marathi medium primary school, 150 kids, no money, and was going to close down. $8,000 a kid a year, which is what I probably spend if I went out drinking with my friends. So I said, what the hell, yeah? I mean, for 8,000 rupees a year, somebody will not be able to go to school. Okay. And this is in Dharavi. If they don't go, they'll be sent back to the gaon, and then God knows what will happen to the kids. So I put in some money, and I tapped into my Lucky Sperm network, and
we must play some music every time you say Lucky Sperm, because it's almost like the superhero of the show, the way everybody replies to you. I'm telling you, I will investigate. If you ever go into politics and become a really big statesman or something, I will investigate all this. There's some Gochi in how they reply to you, yaar.
There's no Gochi.
You're not Sunny Leone. What the hell are they replying for?
I wish I was.
I wish you were. I also wish you were. Although I wish you were still doing the same social work. Go on.
So anyway, cut to I saved the school. But as I got in more working with the kids, I realized that these kids, even though they are formally educated, they'll never be able to excel in the mainstream. A Cyrus from Dharavi, if there is one, will never be able to compete with Cyrus Brocha.
Why?
Because the exposure you've got. It's not just about the education, it's the exposure,
they're
it's
complex,
the learning.
Maybe? No,
I don't think they are complex. They're very aware of their reality. So it's not a complex. It's an acceptance of reality. But the problem is that when you go home, when your son comes home, he has you or your wife not ready to talk to them. But these kids, mothers are working, fathers are either drunk or both are working, whichever way. But parents, there's no positive adult role model in their life. So I said, what do I do? And I've given them, now the education is continuing, but they're still not going to be able to get a job, which is what these kids want. So the idea, and at that same time, I happened to go to New York, and I happened to bump into this guy who runs a program called Big Brother, Big Sister, where it's a 100-year-old program in the US.
They adopt a younger boy.
Not adopt. They sort of...
Mentor. I've heard of this.
Yeah. So I said, this is a brilliant idea, where I have these 150 Dharavi kids, and imagine if I gave each a mentor. So I used to talk to the kids, and they would love coming and talking to me.
A mentor from your side of the street.
Yeah, from my side of the street. And the other idea I realized is that this will be a great conscience opener for others from my side of the street, because here we live in a bubble. Correct. And suddenly you walk out of your bubble and go to a Dharavi and you meet these kids. It's not about rich versus poor.
And you also serve as a medium between the father figure, mother figure who's missing. And because that's what's missing in the life of the kid.
That was the whole idea.
Oh God, but Dharavi is too far, yaar. Kuch Balwail ke paas mein hai, to I'm signing up.
No, so that's how the idea of the program came, and I said that now let me expand this idea. Let me not start with only Dharavi. I'll take it to all across Bombay. So I believe that anything we do in life should have scale, because scale creates sustenance.
Right.
Anything small, there's no point doing it. In a country of 1.2 billion, any case, whatever you do is going to be small. And it will also still be India's largest. So we started the Green Batti project. The idea was it's a one-on-one mentoring program that pairs educated professionals with under-resourced youth. So now what we do is we are across Bombay, we have 1,000 pairs, and we are going across 6 cities now. And we're also doing something called e-mentoring, where you could mentor a boy or a girl from Srinagar or Shillong using your smartphone.
But you can't physically then interact with them and sort of be that mentor figure.
In e-mentoring, in Bombay, of course, it's one-on-one.
Like a pen pal.
Yeah, that's only for cases like Shillong and Srinagar, where it's difficult to find mentors over there also. So what do? I have to connect them with mentors in Bombay or Delhi, and you connect them virtually. But
for a certain fee, I'm willing to go to any other place in India.
For a fee?
Obviously, yaar, why should it be free? What social conscience do I have?
Exactly. So anyways, so Green Batti began like that. The idea was to equip under-resourced youth with a mentor. And now we have 1,000 pairs across Bombay. And it's a business. So what I've realized is...
What is the time, just for people who are really interested, what is the time?
2 hours a week. 2 hours a week only. And we have built a really cool app on which you can schedule the meeting so that everything is systematic.
Obviously, you'll go to them.
You will go to them. No, but you don't go to them. You pick them up and take them out. Right. That's the whole idea. You don't go to their school.
Great.
Or
so it's like a fun event evening where the child gets to interact with you.
Yeah. and it's not really fun. So we tied up with TIS, Tata Institute of Social Sciences. We built a curriculum. So we focus life skills, social skills, emotional intelligence, financial literacy, all those things that we have it, but they don't. We instill them in a fun way. And it's not a tuition class, it's not a teacher. You're like badi didi, bada bhaiya. So it's a very fun thing.
So what if they start turning to you more and more? So they call the guy. Now, so suppose let's say Mr. Sharma was helping your friend. He does his 2 hours and he does his bit. He even helps financially occasionally.
Financially.
So suppose I'm just saying. But what if, because a lot of people will be okay with that. I'm saying, but what if he starts calling you all the time? Now you're in bed with your girlfriend and thinking, Chandu, if this side, yaar, wo gaadi nahi hata sakta main. I don't know. They have all kinds of problems.
So one is that each cycle of mentoring is only 4 months, 12 weeks. So it's a finite period. We have thought about this.
So you don't bond beyond a point.
You can if you both want to. So that's we connect you. So what the campaign is add a new friend in the real world. And that's how we attract mentors, because you have to apply to become a mentor. You can't just become.
When I become a mentor, can I remove one friend from my past? Because I feel that the capacity is only so much. Is it possible to become a mentor, you add one friend, you remove one?
Probably.
Okay, sorry, Amit, you'll have to go here. I can't keep everyone. Bad news. I know I'm interrupting. It's a very serious project and it's very good. Just to surmise it again, you've got 1,000 in Mumbai at the moment.
And scaling up to 6 cities.
6 cities, and you'll go scale even further.
Yeah, of course. It's a business. It's not
It's the correct attitude.
Yeah. Where you said a small Marxist streak in me. Actually not, because I'm all for a balance between capitalism and socialism. You can't have one, you can't be on one side. So the idea was, I think the future of change is social enterprises. Where if you look at, you spoke about the NGO aunties. Now I'll give you a small example. I won't name, but I've worked with many affluent people where what they do is the businessmen ke children or wives will start one NGO to spend the CSR money of that company, get themselves clicked in
with the name of the grandfather,
whatever, and they'll get themselves clicked with some pictures with hungry naked kids and put it on the press and say, oh wow, we're raising money for a cause.
Right.
But then what happens to the cause and the kids, nobody knows about, right? So I said that is one. Two, in India's development sector, the kind of people that work is sad because there is no money. Though you have 70-year-old, nothing wrong with being 70-year-old, but 70-year-old people working in an NGO trying to solve a solar or energy crisis in a village.
Beyond their capacity
Beyond
sometimes.
their capacity.
Yeah.
No, not being offensive to them, but let's get
the right people in the right place to make the machine work.
But what can I get a Cyrus Brocha to get out of college and say, I won't join MTV, I will work towards making a change.
God, you're making my whole life a failure. How dare you? But celebrating your greatness and attacking my life. God, but you're right.
So what? But I don't blame you for choosing MTV versus social impact.
I didn't choose. I was trying to do law. So my story for another podcast.
But for example, the average college graduate will never say, I want to make a difference as a career, because it doesn't pay. There's no career growth. So my vision now is to create an ecosystem where social impact can become a profitable business, where both the donor, doer, and the donee are all happy.
Okay, let me interrupt the program to say Dhoni is not the wicketkeeper batsman who is currently under little duress in Australia, but
the person for whom we are doing
a bastardized word in the Hindi language which you have just come up with. Yeah.
No, Dhoni is a legitimate word.
How?
It is DONEE. It's donor, doer, donor, donee.
In English?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
I also didn't know. My copywriter in my team who wrote this line.
Everybody out there, Google and find out Dhoni is right. If it's right, he gets a point. If it's not, all the projects are cancelled right now.
So that's the whole idea of social. The company is called Social Quotient, to up the quotient of social impact, which runs programs like Green Batti. So, for example, in Green Batti, our revenue model is, we have a bank brand as a sponsor, because the mentees can be a potential target market for the bank, because financial literacy is part of the curriculum. RBI allows 11-year-olds to open bank accounts now.
But is it? It's too early to see the results in terms of the young kids. You just started this, right?
No, it's a year long program.
But I'm saying we'll wait 4-5 years to see what they do with their lives and all.
So actually now we've changed the game. The first cycle was only 11 to 15-year-old mentees, but now we're not doing that. We're doing mentees at the age from the 16 to 20 and making focus employability and adult life readiness.
What about mentoring? What about 43 to 44? Do you have any
mentors? Unless you need a mentor,
I want a mentor.
There'll be a separate program.
I want a female mentor, younger than me.
Female mentor, younger than
She doesn't have to have a job. Just give me time.
Right.
Okay, but moving on to, we are losing time here and I want to quickly push everything you do. Adopt a village.
So, as I said, the idea of Social Quotient was to, use technology, skilled human resources and creativity to problem solving. So, Green Batti is one example. The other thing we do is adopt a village, where we work with companies and we give them a business benefit to adopt villages. So, for example, I'll go to a company which has a factory in a rural area and I'll say I'll adopt X amount of villages near your factory, because that will in turn will keep these people happy with you.
But monetarily, what does it mean, beta?
Monetarily means?
What do you mean exactly by adopt a village?
No, so for example, you take a village. We are working with a village about 2 hours away from Bombay called Chakrabarty. And what we're doing there is, we've opened a skill development center. So which is where I got Anita Dongre to train these women on how to stitch. She invests in the training. So that is her investment.
Right.
Now these women have learned a certain skill. So now they need to be employed. So Anita Dongre employs them back.
Right.
So now she gets a business benefit because now you have got a workforce.
So win-win.
Win-win. The women are happy because each woman is taking home about 3,000 to 4,000 rupees a month, which is a huge thing for them.
Excellent.
And so like that, we've created employment. Now we have got another company to open a school in that village. We are now getting somebody I'm going in the States next month. There's some people who've created this very cool solar technology, converting solar in a very low cost way. So I'm bringing that to this village. Now what happens is the companies that invest in these kind of initiatives get a lot of PRability, where if I've imported a really cool solar technology which is powering a village, the company will look good, so the company is happy.
Correct.
So either the...
Sorry to interrupt you. What about adopting the ultimate village? Who will adopt this village, Mumbai? Answer me this question.
I don't think it's possible.
Is there anybody out there? Can you put it up? When you go to the States, can you mention this? Mumbai, we need to be adopted. Who will do it?
Probably Mr. Sharad Pawar.
He did it once. It didn't work out. He did it twice. In fact, if I remember my history.
No, so, Mumbai is another story. But so Adopt a Village is basically getting companies to transform.
And you're getting good feedback from corporates who are saying they like this venture, no skin off their back, and they get good PR
because
out of it.
Right now what's happening is, that CSR is compulsory, you have to spend 2%. So what typically companies do is they'll donate the money to an NGO, not knowing what happens.
Right.
Here I'm saying that, firstly, I'm not an NGO, I'm a company. So my mindset will be very business driven. So I will work with you. I'll be very accountable to you. My approach will be very different than a standard NGO. Number two, all the projects that I do will create high noise value. So the company looks good. Or like in the case of with Miss Anita Dongre, there's a business benefit involved.
Why do you keep calling her Miss Anita Dongre? Can't you just say Anita?
Her son is a friend of mine, so...
You respect?
Yeah.
But why the Miss?
I don't know.
Okay, fine. Can I just call her Anita? Is that wrong?
Yeah, sure, you can.
Okay. He's talking about Anita, a friend of mine. Anyway, I've never met her. Let's Adopt a Village. Again, I'll be rushing because we're running out of time, but you've done so many things. Samaj Scope, Samaj is Society, Social Cause Marketing Communications Company. Expand?
So, when I quit, when I left advertising, one client told me that, hey, you are doing so much in the social impact space. Come back to me when you can think of what social cause my brand can associate with. So there I got another business idea. I said, why don't I go and tell brands, why don't you leverage social causes to engage with your customer? Because young people would love a brand that is associated with the social cause. So now here is communication through social causes.
Can you give us an example?
We're working with, for example, a condom brand. So
what is it? Can you say Lucky Sperm again? Just to lighten the mood.
Lucky Sperm.
Wow, it's so beautiful.
So the idea is that, adopt your second one. So our insight is that our generation doesn't really care if our child is not our blood. Wo apna khoon hai, doesn't exist for us. Right. So the condom company will say adopt your second one. And the cause being population control. We really killer campaign that you'll be seeing, adopt your second one.
You do mention how to use the condom, which is a big problem in the subcontinent.
No, that is another...
People wearing it on the ear, the nose, the fingers. I mean, when will that end?
That is a different story.
By the way, which finger is it?
So anyway, so how I'm getting a condom company to associate with the cause of population control. It's a very catchy way. The customers will remember you. So, on one side, you also have people like Ranveer Singh adopting condom brand, which is great.
Thank God, we don't want more Ranveer Singhs. So, but it's very clear here.
While that works, Ranveer Singh, really killer campaign. I really love that campaign that was done by what he's endorsing. But similarly, you can create the same impact and viralability of your content if you are associated with the social cause. So that's what Samaj Scope does.
Okay. All right. I think we've run out of time. We're trying to explain everything, but in a nutshell, we'll just mention it's called the Social Quotient. Yeah. Am I right?
Yeah.
And of course, you've got so many different projects, so many bridges that are being built by you to help this country along. So, Samyak, we are giving you a special award from our podcast for the most interesting, most socially relevant human being that we've met in the last 10 minutes.
Thank you.
So, there you go. The prize will reach you. The moment my mentor brings it, he's in Portugal, so it will take some time. But before we end the show, Samyak, we're going to put you under what is called a little bit of fire, because we have a thing called the AMAs. Amit Doshi will come in and discuss that with us. This is Ask Me Anything, and you'll be under the spotlight.
Cyrus says, ask me anything. If you want Cyrus to answer your questions on air, send an email to whatcyrussays@gmail.com. If you send us a link to a sound file on SoundCloud, we'll even play you asking the question in your own voice. And that's what Cyrus says.
All right, here on Ask Me Anything, Samyak, we are joined by Amit Doshi. He's the man who invented Google, by the way, but they didn't give him credit. You can Google it. It's true. He's going to ask the question, so let's listen.
All right, so the first question is probably the silliest question that we have ever gotten so far. It's a very short question, too. Can you lick your elbow?
I know this. I've seen the show. It's a show on National Geographic because my kids really like these shows.
Oh, okay.
And we've tried it and I can't.
No, so it's a real thing, right?
It's a real thing. You try it. Please make Samyak try it. But what we can do, Indian version, you can lick my elbow.
Okay.
And I might like it.
No, so what is this National Geographic show?
So they've got these shows where the interesting, just the brain show and the this show and the that show. So it challenges you and they come up with these things. For example, you never know that you can't lick your elbow.
I would never even
or that you can't touch your nose with your tongue. You know, these are difficult things to do.
Right.
But obviously Americans have more time on their hands than we have. But Samyak is trying to say in India, these guys are licking their elbows, man. Who's going to vote for the Republicans at this rate?
All right. The second question is, so this is interesting. Did you do a Cadbury ad?
4 or 3.
Really?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was trying. So like one of those 90s ads that Kya Swad hai.
Yeah, Kya Swad hai Zindagi mein.
Kya
Swad hai Zindagi mein. That one.
So this guy was a big fan of your old Cadbury ads.
He was shot by Rajiv Menon.
Oh, really?
Piyush Pandey was the head, but Prasoon Pandey was the lyricist.
Right.
When they were all
Rajiv
in one
Menon,
company.
the director of that movie.
Rajiv Menon, yes.
The Kajol movie.
Cinematographer come director.
Right.
And a very interesting man. So this was a place where I had my first encounter with life in Chennai. We shot the ad, one in Hyderabad, one in Chennai, and one in Bombay, as far as I remember. And the one that we shot in Chennai, I came in at 7 in the morning, as they told me.
Okay.
And Rajiv said, look, go and sleep for a little while because the female model is not ready. So it's going to take us 1 hour at least. And suddenly I was fast asleep. Suddenly I felt a man touching my legs.
Okay.
I woke up and the man was putting clothes on me. He was taking off my shoes. And I said, what happened? He said, so the spot guy said in broken English, he said, Sir is saying shot is ready. Putting your clothes on. So I said, but why are you putting my clothes on? So apparently in the south, the star just, they won't wake up the star. They just carry on. They dare, So I mean, like,
wow.
Here in Mumbai, the spot acts like the star. Hey, chalo, ready.
So when was this? When were you doing these ads? Because I saw
99, 2000,
so
2001.
then I should have recognized you. It wasn't like you were like, this was not like
but there were many
stuff, right?
No, around the same time, all of that.
Okay, because he sent me a YouTube link and I looked through the ad and I couldn't spot you in there, so I was wondering, are you in it or not, or...
No, there's more than one.
There's more than one, okay. Yeah. All right, cool. So, but his question...
But the question is, do I eat Cadbury's? By the way, the sad story, so about 2-3 years I did the campaign for him, and then they replaced me with Amitabh Bachchan.
That's not sad.
So I revived his career.
Yeah, that's not sad, man. That's a badge of honor, right? The only person who can replace me is Amitabh Bachchan.
Since he's my favorite, all-time favorite, I was very upset. It was like he betrayed me. The man I grew up worshipping. I was cried a lot. I haven't eaten Cadbury chocolate since then.
So the question that Rahul Raman has is, what has changed in advertising between the 90s and now?
Now, this is a question which you have to
I think this would be you'd be a great way to answer.
Samyak, with your background, go for it.
Could you repeat the question?
What has changed in advertising between the 1990s and now?
1990s, whatever I've heard about. I mean, obviously I was born.
The Kya Swad hai Zindagi time.
In fact, we just 2 days ago we hosted Piyush Pandey for a masterclass with the mentors of Green Batti, and he showed this campaign. So that's how I know about it. And I think from what I heard from him and what I saw, what he was talking about, I think in the 1990s advertising had a soul. That's a very esoteric thing to say, but I think it had a soul
and a freshness.
Seemed to have. There was no pretense. Whether the people who were actually executing the communication or their understanding of the brand. Like, David Ogilvy says that the consumer is not a moron, he's your wife, she's your wife. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
Your wife is also fine in liberal India.
Liberal India. So 1990s, I think they stuck to that principle. I think now it's all about numbers and all about...
Are we also not becoming cynical because we are now the older generation?
I am not old, you might be old.
Oh, God! Or cut your way out of here, man. Or cut your way out of here.
No, but I think that now I think the quality of people in advertising is also reasonably reduced, and it's all about 1 million likes on Facebook and on this chatter we won't become viral. Content is not made, but it's already been made.
It's all sales and marketing driven and not idea driven.
Isn't that kind of more to the point of advertising? Maybe No,
I'm not against sales and marketing because there has to be an ROI in whoever's putting in the money. That I agree.
Right,
has to be
measurement and stuff like that is far more sophisticated today than it was earlier.
But that is, I think, interfering with the creativity of the communication.
But
I think also what he's trying to say is there's an innocence for 15-20 years back,
Right.
which is maybe eroded because of the dog-eat-dog nature of our society now.
That's fair. That's
so
fair.
sales and marketing is great. Like even in social impact, I said,
Right.
you know what I'm doing. If I'm not making money, I can't do it because
Right,
everything has to fund something. Right?
Exactly.
If you
right,
look
yeah.
at today's underwear ads and look VIP Frenchies,
Seriously.
Brando, Robin Hood, those were ads, yaar. Kya body tha wo models pe, yaar.
It was
I mean,
Rupa,
those
man.
legs on that Robin Hood guy, yaar. Who was that guy? Robin Hood, soft, durable, underwear, banyan. See, it's 2 in 1. Underwear and banyan. Even the superheroes in DC Comics don't have that.
That true.
I think that's all we have time for. Thank you so much for being on board. We will save India together, piece by piece. But Samyak has the lead as far as we can see
I
right now.
can
Thank
absolutely
you.
see that.
All right, Jai Hind.
You're listening to Cyrus Says.
All views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Indus Vox Media Network or any of our show advertisers or sponsors. No animals were harmed in the making of this podcast, obviously.
All right, Cyrus Says is wrapping up, but we have Geek Fruit, which we want you to check out, hosted by Uber Geeks Tejas Menon and Jishnu Guha. They're like Simon and Garfunkel, except they're Tejas and Jishnu, and they can't sing. No, they can actually. And they talk about geek culture. If you're a geek or want to know about geeks or live with a geek or just next to Turkey is geek, go ahead, my friends. Listen to Geek Fruit. Check it out on ivmpodcast.com.